What's up? Princess coming to you from the Cinderverse, and today I'm going to talk about a concept that's so near and dear to my heart, and it should be near and dear to you: why you're not taking action. Now, there's a lot of reasons that come up when you don't take action. There's a lot of excuses, there's a lot of pitfalls, but today I'm going to talk about how to overcome them. I'm going to talk about why you just don't take action in the first place. I'm going to talk about why people take massive action and then they quit taking action. And not only that, I'm going to talk about how to overcome them. So after this, you'll be an action taker. No more excuses. Let's talk about it.
Oh man, I'm kind of tired. But it's time to take massive fucking action. That's what today's topic is. Why aren't you taking massive action? Why not? Are you lazy? Are you tired? Do you just not even know how to take massive action? Let's take a look at that, guys. Why aren't people taking action?
There's a lot of different reasons. The one you want to hear, though, is people lazy as hell. It's lazy. That's what you want to hear.
Exactly what I want to hear.
So what I want to talk about now is a concept that's so near and dear to me, which is the action threshold. And this explains why people just aren't taking action. All the excuses is explained by these 4 states that I'm going to talk about. Now, what's the action threshold? If you think of action as a beam, the threshold is like a beam. And me and Will recorded something earlier so you can kind of visualize this in your head. You think of a beam, and on either side, you have knowledge on this side, you have action on the other side. And as you gain more knowledge, the beam goes up and down. As you take more action, the beam goes up and down. Now, I'm going to explain this further, but I want to talk about 4 states of action taking. So the first state I'm going to talk about is what I call action stasis, or the inability to take action. I'm going to also talk about action crash, which is basically taking massive action and then things not going the way you want and stopping because they didn't go the way you want. I'm going to talk about action neutrality, which is taking action, but not really taking the actions that you need to get to the next level and just sitting inside your comfort zone. And then I'm going to talk about action fluidity. And action fluidity is basically where you want to be. That's where you want to sit. You want to sit in action fluidity because that's the ability to effortlessly take action. So let me first explain the action threshold. It goes like this. I call it a threshold because it's like a slope, right? As the slope gets up, like you look at a slope on a hill, as the slope goes up, it becomes more difficult to climb the slope. So as you gain more knowledge, the slope begins to go up, which makes it harder to take action, which leads us to the first state, which I call action stasis. Now, when I first started off on business, the first thing I did, what most people do, I wanted to learn all the strategies, the techniques, the tactics. How do I do it? How do I market? How do I sell? How do I build my processes? How do I build my systems? All these things. I went through all these things in business. I read somewhere between 272 to 330 books in that time period. But what I found was the more I learned, the harder it became for me to take action. Why? When I first started with business, I left school, I dropped out, I was naive. I didn't know what I could get myself into. So I was eager to take action. However, as I got more and more knowledge, I found myself being more and more frozen. I was in stasis. I didn't want to take action. And the reason was because of what I call action stasis. Now, as the action threshold, you gain more knowledge, you're reading books, you're looking at videos, you're looking at more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. It becomes harder because the slope gets higher for you to take action. And this leads to action stasis. So the action, it's kind of like this, huh? We're trying to climb this, isn't it?
It's kind of like trying to climb a slope. You know, when you're going up, it might be a little hard. See, me, I'm moving backwards. I've been taking action for so fucking long I can do this shit. Don't try this at home. But this is how action is. It gets harder and harder and harder. And as you get up, your legs are getting tired and you're getting weak. And you're like, dang, you want to stop right here because you're like, shit, I didn't take any action. I took all this action, Princeton. I'm not really getting anywhere. It's hard. My mom's calling me. I'm broke. I got to sleep on the fucking couch. I got to eat sandwiches every day. But you know what? Had you take a little bit more action, like me, fucking hot. Take action.
So what do we have to do to overcome this? One practical strategy that I found in overcoming action stasis is instant application of the knowledge you learn. I don't care what it is. I don't care how outrageous the concept is. As soon as I learned the concept, I applied it. And what happens is you get what you call emotional integration. Now, conscious awareness is knowing about something. Everybody knows conscious about it. If you watch a video and I'm telling you about a concept, it's conscious awareness, you're aware of it. But emotional integration is when you embody it. So you don't really have to remember it. So it becomes part of your daily routines and your daily action. So the first thing you have to overcome is action stasis. Taking action as soon as you learn the knowledge, so you can get as much knowledge as you want, But if you just get a bunch of knowledge and you don't apply, the slope is gonna keep rising and it's gonna be harder and harder for you to take action. So I'm gonna explain the next two concepts, which I call action crash and action neutrality. So what is action crash? Now, have you ever seen these people who take a lot of action? Now, I always advocate taking massive amounts of action, but there's people who take a lot of action. You can't tell them anything. They just do whatever the fuck they think is gonna work, but they never take time to sit back and think about what they've done. This is a lot of people who take a lot of action. They say, Princeton, I went out there, I took massive action, I tried what you're saying. I went out there, I was going grinding, I was working, I had 20-hour days, I wasn't sleeping, and nothing happened for me. What happened? They had an action crash. Action crash happens when you don't take time to assess the things that you've done, so therefore you don't gain knowledge. So if we look back at our example, what happens is the action side begins to rise. Now, what's cool about this is the more action you take, it becomes easier. The slope begins to drop. It becomes easier to take action. However, it's just not working because you don't have enough knowledge to sustain the action. So this leads to a lot of knowledge crash. If you don't know what to do, I don't care how much you think you're going to succeed, how much action you take, you just can't progress. Now, there's two ways you can gain knowledge. One way you gain knowledge is from practical, like stuff like books, mentors, but also by practical experience. But the only way you can gain the most from practical experiences is sitting there and assessing what you've done. We always like to do after action reports. Everything we do, every action we take, we sit back and say, how could we have done that better? How could we have made that better? How could we be better from each action we take? And this stops us from having action crashes where we take action for a long time and then you stop taking action. A lot of people make an excuse why they're not succeeding, but they're having these action crashes because they go hard for a little bit and they can't sustain it because they don't have the knowledge to back it up. It's a balance. So the next thing I want to talk about, and what plagued me for so many years, is what I call action neutrality. Action neutrality is the worst fucking place you can be when it comes to business. Action neutrality is when the scale is exactly even. You have a good amount of knowledge, you're taking an amount of action, but it's not getting you where you want to be. And this is where massive action came into me. When I was sleeping on the floor, I know I talk about it a lot, but when I was first starting out, I was sitting there and I was taking action, I was doing stuff, I was working towards my business, but I wasn't doing the scary stuff. I wasn't doing stuff like coming out here and filming in the middle of the median of a freeway because I felt like it would be a more engaging shot. I wasn't doing stuff like going and talk to people that I knew I should talk to. I wasn't pushing my boundaries socially. So I had knowledge, I had a bunch of knowledge. I was taking action because I felt like I was doing actions that were getting me by. So, oh yeah, I'm working on my website over here. Oh yeah, you know, I wouldn't talk to that one person. I sent that email out, and it's easy to get into a loop of doing things that you think are pushing you forward, but in actuality, they're not doing anything for you. This is action neutrality. And there's only one way out of action neutrality, and that's massive action. Whatever's uncomfortable, you have to push your comfort zone. Me and Will, we come out here, we shoot shots. Sometimes we'll sit out here and be like, well, what about this shot? We're like, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's push our comfort zone. Let's try to make the videos better. Let's make the best videos. Let's make the best clubs. Let's make the best content. Let's try to push our boundaries as much as possible. This stops us from just gaining a bunch of knowledge and not doing shit. This stops us from taking a bunch of action and crashing and being like, oh, well, it didn't work for me. It could never work for me, and keeps us going, keeps us consistent. So just remember that. First thing, don't fall into action crash. Build knowledge. Look at your experiences. Gain as much knowledge as possible. Apply that stuff, and then use that to stop action crash. And also, get outside your comfort zone. If you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this sounds good, but I'll do it next week, you're in action neutrality. You have the knowledge. It's right there. This video is telling you what to do. Get out there and take action. But if you got the knowledge, you know you can do something, you have the ability to do it, you don't do it, action neutrality. You're not going to move forward. It's not going to be the stuff that's put you forward. That's why massive action is so key. So, with all this being said, we know about action stasis, we know about action neutrality, and we know about action crash. What's the best place to be? And I'm going to talk about this, which is action fluidity. So now, I want to talk about action fluidity. When it comes to doing business, you always want to be a little bit sloped this way, which basically means that you have enough knowledge ahead of you, so you're not really concerned about what you need to be doing or how to do it, but you're always taking action. See, when the knowledge is slightly up and the action taking is slightly down, you're able to take more action. And that's what a lot of people fall off at, is because they think that, oh yeah, if I get out here and I take massive action, that's all I got to do. That's just the end of it. As long as I take massive action, I don't have anything to worry about, right? Of course, taking massive action is the thing that can change your life forever. It changed my life forever, and I've seen it change my friend's life forever. But being in a state of action fluidity is not just about going and reading a lot of books. It's about learning from your experience, self-awareness, being aware about the things that are going on. Action fluidity is where you always want to be. You want to be at the point where it's not hard to take action because you're already in the momentum. I see friends all the time. They start taking action and they're doing good. Maybe they even have the knowledge. Maybe they're putting they're putting forth their best effort rather. And what happens is they get out of that routine. They stop taking action, just like a workout. You work out every day and then you stop working out. It's going to be hard getting back in the workout. They're going to lose that fluidity. They're going to lose that downhill momentum. So the momentum that you build, it allows you to keep going. It allows you to stay fluid when you're taking action. And that's where we want to be. Don't get caught in action stasis. Don't get caught in, oh, I got a lot of knowledge, but I'm not taking action. I can go around and tell everybody how they should be doing things. I can go around and tell everybody, give criticism about, oh, yeah, you know, if I was doing it, I'd be doing it this way. Oh, shit, if I was doing that, oh, the way they're doing it, they're not doing it the right way. Yeah, you could talk about it, but if you're not fluid and actually taking action, you're not moving forward. It's easy to fool ourselves and believe that we're moving forward because we have a lot of knowledge, because we have a lot of education, because we have a lot of people around us, a strong social network, but actually putting skin in the game, making it happen, doing the actions, staying fluid is the only way that you're gonna make progress. That's action fluidity. Being fluid, being able to take action. You have enough knowledge so you're confident in your ability to take action. So you learn from your experience, you go out there, you're always learning, you're an endless student, but also you're taking so much action that you don't have time to get stasis and you don't hit a crash because you're not taking so much action that overwhelms your knowledge, so you have to stop. So those are some big things to think about. So now that we've gone through all the states, I want to wrap this up and just remember, the reason I created the action threshold is to kind of give you a model in your head that you can understand what happens and why people don't take action. There's so many excuses. There's so many reasons people don't get to their goals in life. There's so many reasons that people say, oh, I can't do it. It wouldn't work for me. All the excuses I hear all the time. But the real excuse is because they just don't understand what's happening. If you're taking massive action and then you have an action crash.
Guys, I have a confession to make. And when you saw me earlier, and I was backpedaling and running up those hills because I take so much fucking action and displaying my awesome, amazing action-taking skills, I had a massive action crash. I got tired. I got fatigued. I didn't want to take action anymore. I wanted to stop. But you know what? I kept fucking taking action because the only way to stop a massive action crash and get to this term that I coined by myself, which is where you want to be, the only way to get out of a massive action crash and get to the term that I coined, which is action fluidity, is to take massive action. You have to push past that threshold.
You're like, oh shit, I did take massive action. I'm listening to this guy, I'm hearing him talk, but when I took massive action, I failed. It's because you didn't build up enough knowledge. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's cool to have a bunch of knowledge. People always want to come and have like these technical ego battles about how much knowledge they have, like anybody gives a shit, and there's people out there who don't have that much knowledge at all, and they're successful, like it really matters. All that matters is that you have the knowledge that you need to get to where you want to be. It's cool to be able to recite a bunch of random facts, but those random facts are not getting you any further in business, not getting you paid, not getting you to your objectives, not getting you to goals. So really just useless shit that you know. So those are some of the big things I want to understand. Understand action neutrality. That to me is the biggest disease of most people. They have the knowledge. They actually have the skills, but they don't do anything about it. They don't act on it because they're inside their comfort zone. They don't want to take that little action. You'd be like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should try this for your business. No, I don't really want to do that because the way I'm doing it, the way I'm going about it, I got a different strategy. And then you talk to them 4 or 5 months later, a year later, and they're saying, whatever happened to your business idea? Well, I'm still getting everything together. Right now, I'm building up my content. I'm getting it together. You're going to see it soon. 2 or 3 years later, they never built it up. Action neutrality, passivity, not taking action. It's one of the biggest reasons I see, probably more than the other reasons. Most people, they're not taking so much action that they hit an action crash. That's probably not what you're gonna have to worry about. You're probably gonna have to worry about action stasis, where you have so much knowledge in your head where you're not doing anything, or action neutrality. If you could beat these two things, you could accomplish anything because shit, you would be out there doing it. You would be making it happen. So that's the biggest thing. So remember, action fluidity is where you want to be. You want to be at the point where you're learning from your experiences and you're taking action, but it becomes easy because you've built that momentum and you're always taking action. You're not around here mental masturbating about how great your ideas or your concepts are, talking about how your business idea is going to change the world. You're actually going out into the world and fucking making that idea happen. It's simple as that. There's nothing else to it. That's the action threshold in a nutshell. So with that being said, I want to leave you with your massive action challenge for the week. This week's massive action challenge I'm just going to call it a massive action assessment. I want you to think about these 4 concepts. I want you to look back and think about these 4 concepts and really honestly ask yourself, are you in action fluidity? And look at yourself and say, if I'm not in action fluidity, how can I get into action fluidity? If I'm in action stasis, if I have a bunch of knowledge, how can I push the boundaries? How can I do something that makes me uncomfortable so I can press my comfort zone? If I have an action crash, how can I get back out there? Will came up here jokingly and said the only way to get to an action crash is to take more action, right? But also intelligent action. Add that element of learning from your experiences. Go back and look at your experiences, why you failed, and then try it again, adjust. It's a big part of taking action. Adjust. And if you keep adjusting just by a process of elimination, you would find the key. And also, I want you to take a look and ask yourself, are you in action neutrality? Because this is the biggest one. Are you inside your comfort zone? With that being said, I'm going to leave you with that. It's been a hell of a day. Got a lot of filming done. A lot of big stuff has happened this week. What I want you to do is join the Massive Action Movement. Like and subscribe for more. Leave me a comment below, anything you want to talk about. I love to answer questions. I love to talk to you. And keep taking action. Let's go.